hasn't been able to get on a plane to come home. So I volunteered to work with all of you for this particular workshop. As most of you know, I'm past international director for Toastmasters International, so hopefully I have an answer. But if I don't, then I know there's a lot of you in this room that have answers. And what we're going to do is kind of go through the workshop today. What I did is designed it to really talk about how do we keep our clubs dynamic and moving forward. So bottom line, our members get what our members say they want. And that's why we have the clubs. It's nice to have a club, but it's really all about the members. And remember, we're at the top of the pyramid. And everybody's seen the Toastmasters pyramid. The member is at the top, and from that international, when I sat on the board, we're at the bottom. Yeah, well, you know how it is. We're at the bottom. Anyway, let me give you a story. Naomi probably lived a lot of this story. As Renaissance speakers, we chartered, Richard Stewart and I were the founders of the club. We chartered back in September of 1989. And we chartered with over 30 members. We were close to 40 members, and we kept building the club, and we were happy campers. And then 18 months later, 6 of us sat around the table. Everybody had gone, disappeared. They moved out of the country. They moved out of the state. They left because who knew why they were leaving? They just were gone. So the 6 of us had to make a decision. And when I've worked with other clubs that are under 20, I always have them start with the decision. We had to decide, one, we wanted to be a Toastmasters club. And then secondly, we had to, because either you want to be a Toastmasters club as a decision or not to be a Toastmasters club and just disappear. Now, it kind of sounds strange that we would have that kind of decision, but when I was district governor in District 1, I sat with a club of 30 members. And they made a decision that night not to be a Toastmasters club anymore because not one of their people would volunteer to be a club officer. So they disbanded and gave back their charter. Now I think I'm good as a speaker, and I think I know my persuasion, and I tried everything I tried everything that night to persuade them to keep the charter and not disband, but I lost. They turned in the charter to me and walked out the door. I volunteered. I said, if any of you want to stay as a Toastmaster, please let me know. We'll find another club for you. But they literally did not want to stay as a club. So when we only had 6 members back in 1991 sitting around the table, we had a big discussion because we all knew it takes a lot of work to build a Toastmasters club. All of you who are in this room who have been there, done that, you know it takes a lot of work. And Cindy, we know what it's going to take for you to build from 9 and also from 12. Even when you're under 20 members, it does take work. So the decision has to be there by the entire group that we want to survive as a Toastmasters club because it's what we get out of it. Now, we did some interesting things, and Naomi was not a member in Renaissance at that point in time when we went through it. But I went around the table, and Richard and I asked everybody, what do you want to get personally out of this club? What's your vision? Why did you join Toastmasters to begin with? We did a table topic session so that everybody could revitalize their reason for being a Toastmaster. I don't know about you, I've been in this organization since 1974, but every few months I have to ask myself, why do I stay as a Toastmaster? What's in it for me? The good news is Toastmasters International over the years have given us a membership interest survey. This is a survey that I highly recommend that you do. Now, you can do this survey. This was one I created for Renaissance speakers. You can create your own interest survey, or you can go online at toastmasters.org, and they will have a member's interest survey for you up there that you can use. But I recommend every 6 months, at least once a year, but every 6 months, January and July, you ask your club members, what is it that they want out of the club? Because how can you set any goals? how can you put a program together without knowing what it is they want to do? I know for me, I joined because my boss told me to join. And I walked down the street and joined this club, which was all men, which I loved, back in 1974. So I had to remind myself over and over, what do I keep getting out of this organization? I will always be in this organization. But I have my own reason, and one of them is because of the coaching, the evaluation. Because what I get out of it is the ability to be a better speaker when I need to be a better speaker outside of the organization. But it also has allowed me to be a better leader. Actually, I read, and probably like all of you, I read every leadership book on the planet. And I'll give you my recommendation in a couple minutes about which I think is the best leadership book that I've read in the last couple of months. But I read everything, but there's nowhere to drill leadership except in your company, and if you fail at it, you're often out the door. So Toastmasters has been a great place to drill leadership. What we read about, we can practice within our club. So for me, that was important for me to keep going. But we need to ask our members. So back there in 1991, Richard and I asked all of our members, which are the 6 of us, what did we want to accomplish? Now, as Naomi knows, Renaissance has gone through ups and downs. At one point, we were at 6. At one point, we were at 99 members. Wow. And then we go 50, 60, 30, I think, during our term. Have we dropped under 30? I don't think so. We haven't dropped under 30. We're now at 43 members. I want to get the club up because I'm president of it again this year. Not again, but I'm president. I want to get us back up to that 50 members because, as all of you know, the average around the world is 50% of your membership will show up at a meeting. So if you only have 20 members, you can only get 10. So you want to build your group up to at least 30, if not more, in order to get an audience for your members. So once you've got the membership survey done, then you know what your members want. The second thing we had to do, and we did this back then, and we do this once a year within our club, is we take a look at the club itself. And back, again, I think in the dark ages, but back in 1991, we had a president, at least once a year, is to go through this and find out what do you do well and what do we need to work on. Now, one of the things a dynamic club, all dynamic clubs have in common that I've visited around the world is the first impressions. Am I greeted when I come in the room? And how am I greeted? Am I greeted with, oh, welcome to Renaissance Speakers. It's really nice that you can be with us today. Or am I greeted with this first impression of, hi, it's so great to see you today. Your name is? And get that enthusiasm going and bring them in because it's all about the first impression. UCLA did this survey back in the early 1970s. I was in graduate school in Illinois. We took their research on behalf of UCLA and verified that first impression research. 10 other universities were asked to do that as well. What we found out is that the first 10 seconds of somebody walking through a company, walking into an organization, or just meeting for you the first time will decide whether they like you or they don't like you. They will spend the rest of the time, if they decided, hey, I'm picking on Naomi, hey, I like Naomi, they will spend the rest of the time finding reasons why they like Naomi.
It works that way with men too.
Yeah, that's true. Or they might decide, ooh, I don't like Naomi. Then they'll spend the rest of their time going, well, here are all the reasons why I don't like her. And our Toastmaster clubs are the very same way. When they walk in and they're not greeted, I've been in clubs where nobody even paid attention and I walked in and I was a guest. But most of our clubs in District 52 would never do that. You walk in, you're greeted well, the guest will decide, wow, that's so cool, and spend all their time there finding reasons to be a member of that club. But if they're not greeted, the member's not greeted, we make a decision again every week to be either a member or not be a member. So it's very important. Now, one of the things as an executive committee that is kind of hard to do is to pass this out to all of your club members and let them tell you, new members as well as the old members, what is it that we're doing well in our clubs? And what are the things we need to change? I was shocked when we passed this out last year. I didn't know, and again, this is for Renaissance, but I didn't know we had a problem in the club. I thought, ooh, we have a great club, we got a lot of members. Had no idea we had a problem. But one of the problems that came up on survey based on this was we are a very tight-knit group. And a lot of our brand new members saw our tight-knit group as a clique. Yeah, shocked me, shocked Richard. So we immediately then, as an executive committee, needed to take a look at what do we do and adding more social events so we can incorporate everybody into the group versus having the perception that we're a clique. Now, Naomi knows we're not a clique. Glenn knows, anybody that's visited us knows we're not a clique. But having brand new members think that was a real heartbreaker for Richard and I. So it's always interesting. So I highly recommend that all of you do your surveys in your club.
Roberta, how do you just pass?
I just pass them out, just take that, just have them go through it, and then they can circle the ones that, or they can write on the back. Make it real easy. Yeah, I would have everybody write on the back, what are the things, what is one or two things we think you do well, and what's something we need to work on. And then the executive committee then can take that and start working out programs for it. Now, after you have your executive committee has got the moments of truth done and the members' interest survey, you're getting a lot of paperwork today, everybody.
Nice.
Then it's time to set goals. And in my world, we're called SMARTer goals. Because you never know where you're going unless you have a plan in place. Toastmasters International, as well as a lot of organizations, recommend SMART goals. I always love, do we have the copies?
Yeah, one more.
Are there any more?
Extra.
One more. I'll leave it here. Thank
Should be
you.
enough. And again, you can read this at your leisure, but you set SMART goals. And the SMART goals is what the specific goal you want to accomplish. And then you got to figure out how to measure it. But the measurement we already have, is most of the time, is the Distinguished Club Program. And I want to make sure all of you have copies for the Distinguished Club Program. Glenn, will you just make sure everybody has that in here? I'm not going to give. Okay. We have a goal based on the Distinguished Club Plan, which you have your paperwork on. Your goal is 4 CCs, competent communicators. But we don't, not just 4, we're going after 12 competent communicator awards out of our club. We already have 4 to date, so we're going to go further with that. For your ACB, ACS, ACG, everybody knows what those are, so I'm not using language here. We needed only 2, but we're going after 6. Because again, our game is, we're going to be at 10 points by the end of today, because we will have 6 of our officers trained. We'll have our 10 points as President's Distinguished. Now we want to go do this all over again. We're going to do it 3 times by June 30th. Just because we like to have a game, a big game to play. So again, on education, you know you need 1 of those. Our goal is 3. And all of you will have your own goals. And we're real fine if you only go through your DCP once, Distinguished Club Plan once. But a lot of clubs that are bigger clubs, and this is a problem with bigger clubs like bigger games. Don't think too small. If you think too small, it just doesn't work for the bigger clubs. The smaller clubs, you have more of a problem. Yours is going to come up on membership, which we'll talk about in a minute. Big clubs have membership, but typically your ratio, by the way, for the bigger clubs is smaller. So its ratio is guests to new members. In our club, we operate off a ratio of 3 to 1. So I think I have that down as three guests to get 1 new member. So I know how many guests I need to bring in based on how many new members I need to have. Most ratios in Toastmasters for smaller clubs, for Cindy and some of the others, is 6 to 1. You need to get 6 guests in to get 1 new member. And the reason for that is the club energy for a big club is typically much higher. When you walk into a room and we have all of you, our energy level is like, yahoo, we're here, we're gonna have a good time. You walk into a club that unfortunately might only have 9, and if you only get 50%, and you've got 4 people sitting there looking at each other, your energy level is just going to be a little bit lower than all of us that are going, oh, we're back in a big club. Or we're gonna have fun because all of our friends are here. So it's a little bit harder, but we'll talk about some things that the smaller clubs can do. Now, for membership, again, we need 8 new members on the Distinguished Club Plan, but our goal is 24. So we know when we have 11 new members to date, and I think she's treasure. She just tells me no all the time.
Between you and me, I will come up with something for you.
Okay, good.
If the problem is the trips to Nordstrom's.
No. We have a lot in common. So
Yeah,
I'll think of
come up with something. That's good, that's good. Okay. Then to the training, which I am responsible for, is to make sure our officers are trained. And we will have all 7 trained. We'll have 6 trained by the end of today. One of our officers is out because there was a death in the extended family. Otherwise, he would have been here to be training. So that we have the 7 officers, because again, we want the game of having Tammy taking us all out to coffee. We're going to probably miss that one, so I'll take my officers out for coffee. Or to Nordstrom's. I'm sorry?
Isn't there going to be some issue?
There is one more month of it. We're hoping that she's going to extend it so we can, outside of the club, especially as new members, don't have an opportunity to bond with everybody that's in the club on a weekly basis. So social times and social events give us an opportunity to do that. So we did have an installation party outside of the club. In September is our anniversary, and we had a big party then. We also had, in August, we had a big social event because Toastmasters International Convention was in Cincinnati, and we had several international people coming in, including one of the ministers out of Taiwan. He brought several people, and we did a combined meeting with the Smedley One Club out of Founders District that day. So we kind of had a social, and then we all went to lunch, and it was fun. It was just such an amazing event. We did have a holiday party outside of the club, and it was so much fun. Even everybody that came was like, all right. But again, it was out of the normal club environment so that members have an opportunity to speak in a different kind of environment.
I got invited to 2 holiday parties from another district.
Yeah.
And it was just great. I mean, they used it as a recruiting thing. And I was just observing a different club environment, but it was really quite nice.
And for smaller clubs, one of the things we love doing socially is having an open house outside of the club. So if there's only 5 of you, or 6 of you, 9 of you, I'm sorry, each of you can invite somebody, and you go to somebody's home and have a party. You could do table topics over wine. That's what we used to do. I mean, we used to have social events where we brought everybody to somebody's house, gave them a glass of wine, and we did table topics. Naomi remembers that. We're going to have to do that again. So social events are one way to just bond the club, but it's also a great way, open house, to have a way to, in a different environment, get people excited about, look, we don't just stand around or are serious in our meetings. We actually do toast.
That's a great incentive.
In my home club, Open House Toastmasters, we have 2 parties twice a year. I have been the party planner for the last 3 years for the club. And we have a summer party and we have a holiday party. Now here's the thing that we do, because it's outside of the club thing. I invite all members, it's always potluck style. One of the members of the club hosts it at their house. So the host always gets a personal gift on behalf of the EC. And we do that. But I have them invite their spouses, boyfriend, girlfriend, and bring the kids.
Exactly.
Because guess what? It's not a regular meeting. It's not even a meeting. It's just a fun place to hang out, chat, and meet the other family members and people that eventually their spouse might want to be in Toastmasters. This is a way to get to know your members better, is by bringing them. Tamala has 3 teenage kids that come to every one of our parties, and it's great. And her husband's a member of our club, so that's added benefit. So it's a really good, safe environment to have fun, because we treat our members in open house like a family.
Yes, you do.
Not just like, oh, here's another member, it's time to do the meeting. We're like a really close-knit family, and that's why we have been presidents distinguished 7 years running. So-
Excellent, excellent, thank you. So, Eddie, yes.
Sorry, a question about social events. Are they typically kind of self-funded or self-bring your own stuff, or are local club dues ever?
There's
is it
two
inappropriate
answers to that.
Okay.
One is if you're going to have, it's going to be a meeting, and then my treasurer over there is going to remind me if I can spend this money or not. If the meeting is an educational social event where you actually have a Toastmasters meeting or some kind of meeting as part of it, then you can request from your treasurer and use funds out of the club for that event, or because it is an event with a Toastmasters meeting. If there's not a meeting, then she would never let me spend the money. Okay, then it's
Okay.
self-funded and we can donate, etc. She's the best treasurer I have ever met. She just tells me when I can spend it, but that, you could do it that way.
But that is still on a club-to-club basis. If the club has funds, they can decide to.
Right. As long as it's a Toastmasters meeting outside of the club, that's got a meeting around it, then we can spend some funds. It's again, but if there's no meeting, okay, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Then it's a yes and no.
Okay.
All right, so social events are just an amazing way for you to bond the club. And people who have been members for a long time, we just love all of that, because it's like she said, we never know what anybody else does. It's an opportunity for me to walk up to, like, for Cindy or Karen and go, what do you do for a living? Because on a Toastmaster side, I'm not sure I know what a lot of our club members do for a living. So you can do some networking and have your business cards there and let people share business cards to network. Wouldn't it be nice if we, in our Toastmasters clubs, if those that are not corporate clubs, you actually know what goes on? Is anybody, well, I'll talk about Fox Toastmasters, but Warner Brothers in here? Is in the other group, anybody with Warner Brothers Club? All right, I'll talk about my Fox Club. When I was in District 1 and started the Fox Toastmasters Club, one of the things we realized as a corporate club is we came in, and because most studios are siloed, I know what I do in our department, but I don't have a clue your department even exists, let alone what this department is. We found that every week we had to do a networking. People came in 15 minutes ahead of time, passed out their business cards at Fox, so that we knew what other people were doing in other parts of the organization. Because if all of a sudden I found out that, oh my goodness, I've been looking for somebody who's in props, I could go meet with you, versus not knowing what we do as members. So corporate clubs should do more networking in order to keep their members excited, as well as finding other people that could be a member of the organization.
But the mid-level gatekeepers, they prevent.
The gatekeepers?
Yeah, they prevent people from coming, even though HR recognizes it, management recognizes it. We have lunch meetings and we just had 2 speakers last week, and we had managers that just planned an event the day before. And both of them couldn't, you know.
Well, and that's
and they know these are regular meetings that are scheduled. And so
sometimes what you have to
very
do
careful.
is get to them, talk to them, and get them to a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Once they see what you do in a meeting, because right now a lot of people think Toastmasters, we literally sit around and toast each other. It's like, huh?
Yeah, we're trying to co-opt them. Yeah, we're trying to.
Exactly. So if you can get to them, sit them down, introduce them. Once they see our here's what, I'll give you the story of Toyota. When I was wanting to build a new club at Toyota, I started sending them a basic manual and a Toastmasters magazine every month. Now, it took 3 years to get a club at Toyota. I sent it right to the CEO. And he opened his closet when he allowed me in to have a meeting with him finally. And he had a closet full of basic manuals and the Toastmaster magazines. So we could use that for the new club. But they need to know we are not just sit around and we're a social club and that we just don't sit around and we toast people. Get them a basic manual, get them a leadership manual, get them our magazine. You know, every week just start putting the magazine there. And pretty soon it will dawn on them, oh my goodness, this is more than what I thought. Because when you start surveying out there, what do you think of Toastmasters? Literally, people who do this at the international level, people think we sit around in a social event. They don't think we actually have manuals that people work through and the kind of information that's available to us. But you just got to keep pushing at those. Get them to a meeting.